Can you think about how terrifying it is to be a person who is sexually assaulted? You are then likely forced to bear that child, and now, after all of that, you are having to marry. You are having to be stuck with the person who assaulted you for the rest of your life. So, when we covered Brett Cooper before, there was a conversation about cultural relativism and how we determine if things are just culturally okay or if they're legitimately okay. Usually, the way that we figure this out is by seeing the end result of what happens to victims. If you want to say that, oh, well, certain types of marriage should be banned, and there are certain cultures that don't care about that, but there are other cultures that do, the best way to figure out if that is good or bad, or if you're just taking a stance based on your culture, is think about the people who can't get married. How are they affected? What happens to them? Always look at the victims. So I say that because a Pakistan court has freed a rapist after he agreed to marry his victim. I'm gonna put up fan art, and then we're gonna talk about that. Axolotls with cream said there's a whip of a pony Suris, and that will add a little bit of brevity before the topic. And then Pyromania said my first fan art is Suris with the slime Suris as his little hammer emblem. Also ignore the bad camera angle. I think I'll go ahead and take any camera angle if it means not reading this article right now. As always, thank you all for the fan art submissions. If you want your fan art to be shown in a future video, drop it in the fan art section of the Discord. With that said, hit the like button, all that other fun stuff, and let's get into the non-fun stuff. Dalit Khan had received a life sentence for the rape of a young deaf woman, but a council of elders intervened to offer a compromise. Oh, a compromise? A court in Pakistan has caused outrage after it freed a convicted rapist when he agreed to marry his victim. Dalit Khan, who's 25, had been sentenced to life imprisonment in May by the District Court of Buner in northwestern Khyber. I can't pronounce this, I'm sorry. Pakhtunkhwa? I'm saying it wrong, I'm sorry. Pakhtunkhwa province, for the rape of a young deaf woman. After an intervention by the area Yirga, a council of elders, a deal was struck between Khan and the family of the woman who had a child as a result of the attack. Khan was released on Monday after the deal was accepted by the High Court. The parties have patched up the matter by the intervention of the relatives and the elder of the family members, which is in the best interest of the parties. The compromise was effected in the best interest of the child and his mother being a special person, read the court document. As long as your society is willing to make reasonable accommodations for deaf people, that's not much of an actual hindrance in your life. Can you think about how terrifying it is to be a person who is sexually assaulted? You are then likely forced to bear that child, and now, after all of that, you are having to marry. You are having to be stuck with the person who assaulted you for the rest of your life. As opposed to them being behind bars, you are stuck there, and your family is okay with that. Call me an Islamophobe if you want. I'm perfectly fine wearing that label if it means taking the stance I'm about to take. But if your family thinks that this is an okay thing to do, I am willing to say your family are fucking brainwashed and or stupid. The decision has angered rights groups and activists who say it legitimizes sexual violence against women in Pakistan, where the majority of rape cases already go unreported. Those that are reported are difficult to prosecute, according to Asma Younger of Legal Aid Cell, a group supporting vulnerable women. The conviction rate is low, less than 3% of the Karaki-based NGO War Against Rape. Threats and coercion by family and society in rape cases are commonplace, and survivors and family generally settle the matter outside of court, fearing the stigma of a trial. Literally, they're worried that having a trial, trying to bring a rapist to justice, will cause enough stigma on their family that they are willing to sentence their daughter to a lifetime with their rapist in order to avoid social stigma. If social stigma is so bad for you that you would literally go, hey, rape my daughter again, I'm sorry, you are brainwashed and stupid. You are both. Both of them. 24/7. You live the life of an idiot. Of a fucked up, abusive idiot. Pakistani human rights activist Tahira Abdullah expressed her outrage and condemnation of the outcome, saying the inhumanity of forcing a disabled woman to marry her rapist. How much do you know about Christian extremists want the same thing? Aaron, Brett Cooper literally admitted that she would do nothing about a situation like this. She was literally like, their culture, that's their deal. Like, yeah, cool, Don't say the quiet part out loud. Pakistani rape laws must be amended to change rape from a private crime against a person to a crime against the state, whereby the state should become the protector of the survivor and should prosecute the case in order to prevent any form of private compromise, financial settlement, or forgiveness, which is forced by rich, influential people against the poor and powerless and is always unjust to the raped person. Now, there can be an argument made about a need to try to work on restorative justice as opposed to penal justice. But I think it's also important to note that in this situation, the delineation is not between restorative justice and punitive justice. It is between hush money and punitive justice. If I have to take the two, I'll take the punitive, because one of them makes it to where people who are rich and powerful will always be able to get away with abuses. Always. Usama Malik, a human rights lawyer, said it was an alarming decision by the court. Allowing the appeal, has admitted that rape is a non-compoundable offense, has accepted the compromise decision of a local tribal council that comprises of men only. The court has not only given precedence to the Yeager's decision over that of the trial court, but also precedent over the laws and constitution of Pakistan. While Pakistan's women protection laws have been improved over the past 2 decades, the mindset of the judges applying these laws remains medieval. The decision is not just a slap in the face of women across the country, but also against disabled people, and gives the message that their bodies can be bought for a price. I don't know how many ways I can express my disgust. I don't know how many ways I can explain that this is gross and negligent and awful. And I don't know how many ways I can explain that I don't care that this is a different culture. This is wrong. Yarkor in the chat says, sadly, it's a different culture. Not saying it's a different culture, so it's okay, but that kind of thinking is ingrained in the culture, and changes like this will sadly not happen overnight. You're right. They won't happen overnight, and that is a terrifying prospect, because while, like the article said, while changes to the local laws have slowly been seeping in, while that culture is slowly changing, people are made to suffer in the interim. People are suffering while those changes are taking place. So this is where I have to throw it to you. Not the, hey, let's have a conversation in the comment section about how we handle this. No, this is where I've literally got to throw it to you. If you watch my channel and you're somebody who lives in that area in Pakistan, and it is safe for you to do so, I need to emphasize, I don't know how many ways I can emphasize, only if it is safe for you to do so, think about the ways that you can slowly start changing that social zeitgeist. Because people don't fear social stigma over having their daughter raped repeatedly. They don't fear that without some type of social zeitgeist compounding that thought process. What ways have you witnessed this happening in your own country, and what ideas do you get because of that could help solve that? What ways could you maybe get involved in your own local politics to try to change the way that this is happening. Society is not a thing that happens to us. Society is a thing we are active participants in every day of our lives. So ask yourself what ways you can change this society. It can't be done from the outside in. You can't just have an invasive force come in and tell you, aha, this is the way to run your laws. That's not going to work. You need to slowly change the way that that society views itself, its people, and its most vulnerable. What ways would you go about that? Maybe a good way to figure this out would be study the history of nations that have moved away from these type of draconian laws and see what events took place that led to that. What protests happened, what laws changed, what court cases were determinant in changing the way that society worked. Honestly, probably one of those things that needs to be tackled in, say, a college paper or an essay. Maybe make that your thesis. I don't have the answers to this. I'm just a YouTuber. I'm just a person on the internet talking about things that I care about. It's up to you guys to make some kind of change in the world. Let me know in the comment section how you might plan to do that, if it is safe to do so. But with that said, let me know what you think in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you haven't already. And as always, everyone, insert end video tagline here.